Alright guys, here to talk about Attack of the Killer Backpacks. 2006's Attack of the Killer Backpacks. Lee, had you seen it before?
What do you mean? No. How could I have possibly have seen this before?
Obviously you haven't seen it before,
Okay.
and I apologize for making you watch it this time. I knew not what I was getting into.
I immediately knew that because it's German, and you don't like reading subtitles.
I knew it was subtitled.
Yeah.
I didn't know how poorly, but I knew it was subtitled.
I almost was like, "Is this a mistake?" I'm like googling, is there more than one movie with this title? And you accidentally grabbed the German one, and we're watching that.
No.
Yes.
A sheer curiosity. The title alone, I think, for most people, is what you watch here. I was picturing something more like The Killer Sofa, and like, you know, like The Killer Tomatoes kind of had a baby, and like that would be this.
Attack of the Killer Backpacks. The backpacks. I'm German. The backpacks. The backpack. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like that's kind of what I wanted, and what I got was, what did I get?
It's fascinating. We'll get into it in like details. It's not good. I don't like it, but I found it's so interesting in so many like little ways. Because it seems like everything is bad, but like someone who was making it like knew what they were doing to some degree. It was really interesting, and I can't say any more without spoiling things.
Yeah. So it was made in 2006. Doesn't necessarily feel like it was made in 2006, but we'll go into those details, you know, at the spoiler desk. If you've seen it or don't care, also have spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video and we eat the competition.
Alright, so here we are for the spoilers of Attack of the Killer Backpacks.
Yeet.
Wow.
How'd you find this film?
I was at a flea market. This was there. I saw the title and I said, oh, that will be fun.
The Chosen One.
I did no research ahead of time. I just said, hey, you know, this is the movie for the week. And my God, that was a mistake.
Did you flip it over and say, oh, it's German, but I don't care?
I did know it was German.
Okay.
I knew that when I picked it up because I was like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, like that deterred my, like slightly, but the title had me. I was like, Attack of the Killer Backpacks.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Wo ist mein Rucksack? Würde gern mit ihm weggehen.
The back of the box makes it seem a little bit more like there's a rash of killings. We think it's a serial killer. Oh, it turns out that all the ones being murdered had backpacks on. And like the movie itself doesn't really touch on that at all, whether they think they did or not.
I respect it for just being a movie about a serial killer where there is also a like Attack of the Killer Backpacks happening kind of in the background, or like it could be a like imagine a serial killer movie where there's like a flood or like a volcano has gone off or something. It's kind of this background chaos and like danger, but that is not what the movie is like about.
Yeah, no.
It's very interesting.
Like that is what you would want there to be. But this, like you barely understand what's happening until it's already too late, and you're like, that's what happened? That's so stupid. Like having one of the main characters be this serial killer is like, it just feels lazy because like we only know 4 people and one of them is a serial killer, and like it's the one that was like slighted by this one and was married to a cop, and her lair is like below his house. What the fuck is that?
It's great.
It does add
good.
a little bit of credence as to like why she has the key and still uses the keys, because that's how she gets into this basement area where she has her lair.
No, I think you put it all together at the end, and it's like when she pauses. We're so deep into it now, but they're like watching a video of one of the victims. She like knew the victims, and like at first you're like, oh, is it the guy? But then he gets eaten by a backpack, so you're like, I guess it's not him. And then she like pauses the video because she's about to film herself there or whatever and all that stuff. And I was like, I think could it be? Is that what's happening here?
It's just so dumb. Like this is the thing that movies that often are very low budget do more, I think, and maybe it's just you notice it more. It's like they try to pack so much stuff into a movie. Like this movie only needed to be killer backpacks attacking people, and it would have been totally fine. To add on this like oh, these ex-lovers, and oh, she's in this new relationship, but he's cheating on her, and oh, she's just I want to kill this girl. Oh, how dare she take my husband?
And that's where you get the characters from. You get like the couple, and then the ex, and then who he's cheating on her with. Right? That's the structure of how do we get our characters, and then like one of the cops, the other cops, who's
it's just like
on the trail.
They tried so hard to build up this thing that nobody cares about, because anybody who's watching a movie called Attack of the Killer Backpacks only gives a fucking shit about killer backpacks. We don't care about your love story and your bullshit, and it's in German anyway, so who the fuck cares? Show me something fun. And there's not even that much.
No.
After you've gone through all of that, it is not that much in the way of effects. Like, they don't really, it's just wiggling backpacks, really. You expect, like the zipper comes out and those are the teeth, and you're gonna see some cool shit.
There's some like chomping happening.
Not really.
No, and like that's what you're getting at, is like you would think with a title like that any plot elements are just superficial.
Yeah.
Some German horror, aspiring filmmaker was like, well, I have a lot of backpacks. Maybe we could do that. That's dumb. No, but think about it. Like, it's a backpack. Like, haha. And like, that's the whole, like that's all the thought you put into it beforehand, right?
Yeah.
Not this, like, I actually had a whole movie about like a thriller, like a crime drama, and I decided to marry that with what should be the like lightest, stupidest, silliest plot ever.
Yeah.
And it's such a strange mashup and everything.
Yeah, I wanted there to be a scene where like there's like the two zippered backpack and someone like gets a lock on one of them. It's like, okay, all right, it can't hurt us. Okay, like some fun things.
And the other compartments open.
Or like you throw like a firecracker in a backpack, like something like any tropey horror fun thing. No, but there's nothing.
Yeah, there's really basically nothing. There's nothing that you would ever, and there's no like it doesn't need to be explained. But they kill backpacks with like knives.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is there a thing in there now that you're stabbing to kill it? Like, what are we seeing?
And seemingly they have like digestive acids, because like it destroys that one guy's face. Let's talk about that for a minute. So our affair husband, and his affairess, she's taking a shower, and he comes in. He's gonna join her. We get to see some ass. Awesome. His ass.
We see his tattoo.
Yeah. So he goes in there. A backpack attacks him. She thinks he's fucking around or whatever.
Yeah.
Also Klaus, wenn du nicht willst, dass deine Haare nass werden, dann nimm doch meine Badekappe.
And all of a sudden, he's bloody. He's dying.
Blood starts, running down from his backpack head.
Yes. Yeah. So like her first instinct, like, dude is dying right here. She sees his face. He's horribly misfortunate. She throws like a towel on his head, runs outside, goes, all right, let me change real quick. She puts on a shirt. She puts on like a sweatshirt. So then she gets a knife and arms herself. I'm like, your first thought was better cover these titties. Second thought is, all right, let's defend ourselves now.
Well, because she's wearing like a whole outfit later, and I'm like, when did she change? That's crazy.
We saw her put the sweatshirt on, but we didn't see her put the shirt on. But maybe it was inside the sweatshirt. Science, I don't know.
It's very
Girls plan things out. It's possible.
Girls care about their clothing and plan them out.
It just struck me as so odd. Where I'm like, okay, maybe just don't have her be in the shower when the scene starts off, and you wouldn't have to do this. Yeah. But like, or have her like, I don't know.
I mean, that to me is like
just getting dressed when he comes in.
That's like a typical shitty movie thing.
In a typical shitty movie, that would be your excuse for nudity. But they did not do that. It was just an excuse for a weird bad scene.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, of all the things to be critical, like this movie has much larger problems going on than stuff like that.
But that's a problem that's just like on paper. Like you had to think that out. Like the things that it has going for it, which I'm impressed and shocked about, is the amount of empty streets they had. I'm like, did they block off these roads? How did they film this? This is like
Germany. It's free to do anything.
I wonder. And honestly, it could be something where it's like, oh, this is the German Film Institute. We have this much money from the government to make a movie.
I think it might be another one of those.
It certainly could be.
What's the whale watching one? The whale thing that we did, where it's
the whale watching massacre.
He hangs up on her. I'm like, damn.
Oh.
I'm a prisoner on this whale boat. They are killing us.
Anna, get a grip on yourself, okay?
Norwegian Film Institute funded this or something.
The only Norwegian horror movie up to that moment or something like that.
It was the first and only. They've never tried again because they achieved perfection.
It's pretty true.
We should not go too far without underscoring that like the movie looks like shit.
It's not a real movie. It looks like it was
yes.
filmed in 96, not 2006.
That's the thing.
Wir haben wieder eine Leiche gefunden.
Oh mein Gott. Das ist ja furchtbar.
And I'm like, is that like, I'm so like America-centric that I'm like, were they using our old cameras that were shipped there later? Did better cameras not get, prosumer goods not get to Germany? Germany seems like a normal, real country.
Well, like
so,
that's why
like,
it's hard,
going
because again, they're off of our radar as far as everything about this project, and there doesn't seem to be any information on IMDb for me to like
weird,
extrapolate
right?
from.
Exactly.
So like this could just be like a kids with camera scenario, but then you're like, but these are all adults.
All the
so
actors
it's
are like
very
adults.
strange. There's no telltale signs of like you're like
Yes.
kids with cameras kind of system where you're like, that's a 15-year-old playing a cop. Like no, these are all adults.
Exactly.
They're all real actors. They have actual locations. Things are happening. It's not necessarily good, but it is all happening in the way that would be expected, but just for a much different time period.
No, it's very strange because like I actually have a theory that because like I'm like wait, but it's widescreen though. It's 16 by 9. So that doesn't make sense. But then there's a few places where
I think it was punched in to 16 by 9.
The subtitles
Yeah.
are cut off on the bottom sometimes. When they have 2 rows, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when they add the like 3rd row,
It's gone.
cut off. And I'm like, oh, did you blow this up to make it 16
So
by 9 for the release?
I'm watching it going like, oh, my TV must be fucked up.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong
so
mode or something.
I switched modes, and I switched to a different mode that helped like slightly, but I still was like, no, I'm still losing that
Yes.
3rd row.
Yes,
I don't know.
yes. But like half of it only, like slightly. So it's a weird. Like I'm like, what is the?
Because this is
ratio
the
here?
American version of a German thing. So like the subtitles are burned in. It's not like
Yes.
a turn the subtitles on scenario.
No. And
so
they have
that's why I'm like, well, they fucked something.
And they have lovingly gone into like because there's chapter markers and text cards
Yeah.
and newspapers, and they've like an anime, they've like put text there,
Yeah.
like this says this, and you're like, what the like they'll show a sign and then they'll be like, here's what it says.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, for like the time period, any given shot or any or like any still frame looks like it's from a digital audio, DV tape thing, some
Yeah.
crappy thing like that. But I did think that the editing, like the minute to minute like stuff, was like competent.
Yeah.
So I felt like it's like it has to be film school. It has
Except for
to
the
be
beginning.
something.
The beginning
Yeah.
is brutal, and like the
No.
sound design and the cuts for that opening,
Yes.
like first 5 minutes is like what is this?
Darf nicht wer von euch seinen Rucksack mit in die Arbeit gebracht?
Nein.
Ja,
The beginning is at like a TV station, like a news thing, but you're not seeing the news report. You're just seeing them talk. And yes, that scared me. Like, oh god, this is not a real movie
That-
at all.
yeah.
But then later they do something corny, but I think it's used well. Where they do a little like brrrt, these little like speed up and different things.
So Mist.
And just generally the editing, but like you're looking at like an actor who's like not wearing any makeup, doesn't have a good costume design, doesn't have like their hair done, is not wearing anything interesting. The shot is framed poorly. It's not lit. Like everything's wrong.
Yeah.
But the shots are like placed and like ordered and like timed in like a way that I was like, but this like usually the editing's the first thing to go.
Sure.
So it's like so weird. And I'm like, that's just Germany, baby. That has to be the answer.
German efficiency.
The efficiency, the brutal frames. Yeah.
There's a part with one of the first like oh, something might be afoot here with the backpacks.
Yeah.
Where a guy is in a crosswalk. Do you recall this?
I do.
And he's fighting a thing. He looks like he's out of the Misfits. He has like the weirdest fucking haircut that doesn't make
shit.
sense at all for like a normal person, and I'm like, is that just the extra you had? I don't know what that is. Is that the director? I'd love to know. But it's a
Call us.
weird thing where like they can't actually sell a lot of these things
Yeah.
appropriately. It's like just him like stepping on a backpack. You're like, what the fuck? Like, okay, what? Like, was it
Well-
attacking him or not? If it was rubbing him wrong, he wouldn't be stepping on it like that. What are we to believe here?
Yeah,
This is such a weird thing. Like,
something
it should have been
happened-
quicker or...
Yeah, something happened that made him think I have to attack this
Yeah.
backpack. There's a scene later where there's just people running down the street,
Yeah.
and they all just have backpacks like
On
tied
strings behind their backs or
tied to
something.
their legs and stuff, and just like
Yeah.
dragging along or whatever, which is funny. I don't hate hate all that.
The
stuff.
backpack's movements are irregular, like erratic, not done well most of the time. Sometimes there's some like, oh, we threw these out the window and now let's play it in reverse stuff. That's kind of good. There's one moment where they open a door and there's a pile of backpacks. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, and even when she's getting swarmed at the end with all the backpacks, I'm like, just the fact that you got this actress to writhe around on the ground with like fake blood and grime and like gunk and just backpacks like attached to her in all these ways, and you're picturing something that isn't what it looks like in the movie. It looks crazy, and I'm just like, you've achieved something.
The backpacks themselves don't necessarily have any logic either, because like they don't have legs. They're not like pulling themselves along using their straps or something. They're kind of like fluffing along, and they're not rigid because they're empty backpacks. Yet at one point the guy's like behind like a fence, like a steel like grated door thing, and he uses like his belt to secure it. And I'm like, they are all capable of fitting between any one of these little notches.
They're not like octopus. They don't show them going through tiny things like an octopus, but that would be awesome.
They almost wouldn't even need to crunch themselves that much. Those are fairly large squares. It was just something that I thought, or even underneath the door. It's a weird and like their level of sentience and ability to move is strange.
So they do, like the scene from The Walking Dead with like the windows that are like kind of dirty or like a little translucent or maybe even like opaque, but light comes through and you just see all the zombies like beating on the door. They do that, but people are just chucking backpacks at the windows, and like that, I was like, okay, that's that's what I want here, right? If you want like the corny, shitty, like Attack of the Killer tomatoes crossed out and then backpacks written instead, right? That's what I want. Is like, that sucks. More of that, please.
More backpacks in general would have been something, because like by the time we get to backpacks, the movie is so into something else. It's still a secondary factor.
It's like woven in, which I actually also like appreciated, but is so confusing because she's like fleeing to go to her ex's house from like beating up her like cheating husband or whatever, and she's tuning the radio, and it says like 10 dead downtown in the thing. George Romero says to destroy all the fabric, and she's like, the fuck is that?
Fortsetzung gefunden zu haben. George Romero sagt, Dr. Evelyn Danny Boyle hat sich dafür ausgesprochen, alle Stoffreste zu verbrennen.
And that's when she sees stuff as like a newspaper where it's like, someone stole an entire, school bus's kids of backpacks. Like, what is this? Like, it's this weird, like, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead thing where you're meant to have this, like tension building to get to the thing. But it's about the serial killer. It isn't about the backpack, so it doesn't work.
There's some fun stuff there where like the cop is running numbers. He's like, well, it's like 4 out of 5 people have backpacks. There's this many people in the world. Oh my God. And what if luggage happens? How about purses?
What about suitcases?
And there's no explanation as to what happens. This isn't like Day of the Backpack where a backpack shaped like asteroid goes by Earth and they all come alive. Like,
but that is...
That'll be our sequel.
That's what I want. Okay.
I think there are legs with the idea, and a lot of fun things could have happened here. There could have been a lot of fun deaths, but there really weren't any. Like I don't think there's a fun death in the movie. Like maybe the girl doing her like spinning sword neck slice, but like when you think about a movie called Killer Backpacks, you expect the fun kills to be by a backpack or at least killing a backpack.
Yeah, I thought the backpack on his head was more in line with what I wanted and stuff, but it doesn't really...
You would have needed one shot of like it to finish the chomp and then the head be gone.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, because the damage never seemed consistent with what like made sense.
Yeah, and like there can be some charm in that too, where you're like, how is that happening? How does that work? I'm so confused. But yeah, there's no like... There's not a goofy... Like, it plays it straight, which I think is meant to be funny in like its own way. But you want like a goofiness where it's like there are just aliens shaped like backpacks, and they landed in 1987, and they've been infiltrating, and like some backpacks
they landed in 1987. The year this was filmed
are just are just like alive or something, and they've been like slowly they see like 2 backpacks having sex.
Yes,
and that's meant to be like, oh, they're breeding, because like you know
which should have made like a little handbag or something should have came out, or a coin purse, like something should have came out. Yeah, nothing.
But that's that awesome thing where like someone does the math early and says, oh, we simply have to destroy. If each of us destroys like 10 backpacks, we're pulling our weight. And then eventually the human race will survive. But no, they're having sex, so they're going to breed more little backpacks.
Und was, wenn Koffer ebenfalls reagieren? Und Aktentaschen und Handtaschen und.
The whole basement idea was weird because she's like, the basement links to like the town's something or other. And I'm like, what?
There's catacombs, guys. Yes.
Yeah, and it was very catacomby.
I was totally checked out by that point. I have no idea what happened at the end of this movie.
Everyone dies.
Well, yes, but there's no like we have to lure all the backpacks here and then
there was no plan at all.
Destroy them or something. No, the backpacks just
honestly is pretty much how life would work
in real life.
And
that's
I respect
fun.
that of all the things in the writing, and I'm fine with everyone dying. That's fine. It's everything that was between A, the start, and B, the end that is the problem. It's like, come on, man. Let me just get some fun stuff. Do something with these backpacks.
Yeah. No, and like I like commend them for never being like too goofy with it or looking at the camera and saying backpacks, that's wild. Like they don't do any of that, right? But yes, it
could have been cool if you had like some of the backpacks that have like the strap that go across your chest, like I can't get it off me. It's tight. It's crushing
like
somebody.
Like a boa constrictor.
Or like the arm things, like, and then the guy's arms are off, or like weird fun things could totally have been happening.
Like you're saying, the
potential.
Different types of like type of backpacks. You see more of like a duffel bag at some point, and you would have expected to be swarmed with little ones. Maybe they come up with a way to deal with little ones, and then this duffel bag shows up, and they're like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do?" Right?
Fanny pack, and it's flying.
A little flying fanny pack.
And it seemed like the one he tied to the TV was kind of like floating and flying away.
Yeah, they can like jump. Weird.
So like, okay, let's get some more fun stuff here.
So like what you're doing right now, this like brainstorming of like what are all the backpack things we could put in. Yeah, they did not do that. They didn't have, that's not the motivating factor, which is usually seen as like, oh, this is like degenerate filmmaking. You were just like, how many things can we get in with the vampire? But like that's what this calls for.
When you name a movie Attack of the Killer Backpacks, it is almost required that there's a certain amount of schlock and fun bullshit. When you don't, it's like, okay, did you change the name after the fact to be just this funny thing?
That's what I'm saying.
Everything about your box, the back of the box, the title, all make a person watching us believe it's going to be a lot of fun killer backpack action. But really, this should be called like the killer in Germany, stupid shit.
But yeah, no, like they had a thriller thing, and then also a backpack thing.
Hey! Hey, you got your chocolate and my peanut butter!
Peanut butter on my chocolate.
What?
And like that could be funny if it was handled properly, where you go into it expecting schlock, but it's like the opposite of schlock or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so poorly done that none of that comes across. Or
like if it was 98% this thing, and it's like, oh yeah, and there's backpacks.
Literally, if like there were no backpacks throughout the entire movie, but just like radio messages and newspaper headlines.
Yeah, things that you could pick up on. So like on the second video, you're like, oh yeah, they were telegraphing this the whole time. And then like the only time you see them on camera, like legitimately, is the end, and the girl dies from it. Yeah.
Swarmed by backpacks, yes. Where like it's a whole plot where no one like it's happening but no one's acknowledging it. They're just like switching the station and going like, what the fuck is that? Because everyone is so jaded and shitty, and they're like wrapped up in their own plot of like deception. And then they're just fencing and sword fighting, and then like the door opens and backpacks tumble in and kill her. That would be hilarious, but also bad. You would not want to watch that.
Nah.
But still, something.
I also would have liked like a zipper closing to be a thing, like and like the hands off.
Well, no, like just random stuff that you've mentioned, which is what you would do is like, oh, like you can put a lock through the holes in the zipper ends, and that's what it's. So like, yeah, you can like muzzle one like that. They never go visit. Oh, like he's the forensic guy on the police force, and like let's bring it to him, and he's like dissecting it and like trying to figure it out. There's none of those gimmicky creature Attack of the Blank type things that happen.
These creature features hadn't got to Germany yet at this point, so they're not familiar.
There must be some explanation, though. You're right. This is like too crazy to just be. How do you miss the point of what it's called that much that you don't?
I think it's that whole thing of like, you're like, oh, we put out a trailer for this market and a trailer for that market. It's like okay, the Americans are dumb. We'll just play up the backpack angle.
But it couldn't have been added because it's all woven into the thing. It's so crazy.
Maybe it was like it'd be funny if it was like a group of filmmakers and like they just used the same like sets and the same actors and everything. And like, I think we could splice those together and make a
right. Is it just 2 short films? That would be listen.
I would like it a lot more in that situation.
That's what this all boils down to. I think everything we're saying is like, I need to know how this happened. What did you intend? The director of this movie, contact us. We'll interview you. I'm saying it right now in German. We don't speak German. The point is, the curiosity factor here, not knowing how this happened or how this came about, overrides any of my, because it's garbage kind of, the film.
Yeah, no, it's
but,
not
like,
fun.
I'm so engaged with like, why is this a thing? Because it's barely an hour long, so it might just be 2 student films that were made by a shared team.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Honestly, thank God it wasn't that long.
True.
It would have crushed me more than it already did.
Because, you know, any extra runtime would not have been more backpack fun.
No, it would have been more of that bullshit.
It would have been more like, I know you're cheating on me, how dare you.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinions you can really trust. Come and browse our aisles for the movies that you love and know. Stop by Cannibal.